Hi, this is Patrick Smith, broadcasting my pirate signal from inside the walls of the witch house. I just had a re-record, so if this sounds a little bit scripted, it's the second time around. I want to talk about penance in this video. And penance is a really weird one, okay? Penance is all about the point of inversion, the point where the pain flips into pleasure. And there's a specific point. It's like on a spectrum. The point moves around. It's elusive. But it's this whole idea of, please force me to do what I don't want to do. Which is really fucking weird, okay? And we're not even going to talk about consent at this point. Just that whole idea of like, oh, so you want me to force you to do something? Well, then, if I force you to do it, then you want me to do that? Yes. But doesn't that sort of mean that you're not getting what you want? Like, yes. It's wanting to play the tragic heroine. It's wanting to play the victim in one of these like horrible tragedies, Lifetime movies, you know, of wanting to be like tied to the fence and whipped so that you can, you know, walk out of that nation holding your baby, you know. Which is an appealing fantasy to some people. Like I said, it's role play. It's even if it's not, it's how do I put this? Role play is a useful mechanism to understand it. You know, you're playing a role in this scene. Like, why are you tying her up? Because we both like it. That's fine. That's good. You know, like, and that's fine, right? Like, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just sort of saying, like, where does that come from? The desire to be made helpless. And I think a lot of it is a corrective sort of instinct. It's like, I want to feel helpless because that'll help me to get into this state of deep relaxation. And honestly, like, people need that. We need to touch these places of, like, true stillness. And BDSM can be a very useful tool for doing that. A person who is attempting to recover from early emotional damage or ongoing emotional damage might feel compelled to seek out that kind of treatment. Sorry, I think I just slipped a metacognitive effect into my speech. Sorry about that. Hopefully it doesn't affect anyone. I'm going to stop talking now. Do I have enough time on the mic? I have 3 minutes. Great. We're talking about penance. It's all about penance, folks. Penance is a radical acceptance of the worst parts of yourself. It's, God, in the movie Ink, they had that line where the father who had become corrupt, who I believe represents John the Baptist, he was called back to the, you know, he was kind of being called back to the light throughout this entire movie. And it's this redemption story. And it's interesting because, damn it, I lost it. If he can embrace his shame, I found it again. If he can embrace his shame, he can be redeemed. And it's like, yes. God, there is no more intense experience, emotional experience that the human being is capable of than shame. And to be shamed by someone who, like, actually loves you, and in 5 minutes you're going to go in the back and, like, you know, knock booties, like, that can be very powerful. Like, that is cliff diving. You know what I mean? Like, that is the skydiving. What was the line? Blue sky and falling. That wasn't my line. That was a friend of mine. Who I cannot mention for fear of backlash from my video. Not that I think anybody's going to see this. There's an interesting correspondence between the three virtues and the three forms of rape. And I noticed it. And I think that it's actually valid. A lot of that theory that I built is based off of that. Because I think that with rape, what you're seeing is a brutally toxic expression of the same impulses that are safely expressed in BDSM. I think that if you look at a successful, healthy BDSM relationship, you're going to see almost all of the exact same markers as you would see in an abusive relationship. The one difference being consent. That the submissive partner knows that they can stop it at any time. And that you do take that 30% time where you're just like, hey, let's talk about what happened last night. And she's like, well, it kind of scared me, but that was the best sex of my life. It's like, he's like, thank God, I was so afraid I'd lost you, I've read some of these reports, firsthand accounts from the victim to a newspaper of events that happened. And there were horrible events. But, reading between the lines, I'm like, so you were nagging him for 6 hours straight. And then when he told you to shut up or he was going to throw you in a closet, you didn't shut up. And then he threw you in a closet. And an hour later, when he came out there and said, okay, you can apologize, you started nagging him again. It's like, can we get you arrested? Because, I actually feel bad for this guy. I mean, I know the law and everything, and yeah, you got to control yourself. You got that self-control. But what is that rag that Bill Burr does, where he's like there's never any reason to hit a woman. It's like there's plenty of fucking reasons to hit a woman. You don't do it. You do not do it. But it's like she was asking for it. You know what I mean? And the best way to deal with it, when you have to deal with the woman who is just begging you to haul off and smack her, is to nod at her and turn around and walk away. Like she isn't worth a piece of shit to you. Because that, my friend, that is going to hurt her so much more than your fist ever could. You have taken her at a moment of peak vulnerability and stolen the one thing that she cannot live without: attention. I recommend this maneuver. I think it will teach caution to a number of women who could be better served by a more cautious approach to the male sex. Go fuck yourself if you don't agree. You're entitled to your opinion. Maybe I missed something. Please correct me. Anybody who can convince me that I'm wrong about any of this shit is welcome to it. Sargon of Akkad made that promise early on in his career. He invited feminist thinkers to come on the show and convince him. And he said, if you can convince me of the value of your arguments, I will adopt them. And then he turned into this conservative talking head. Dude, man. Sargon, no offense, man, but you remember when you used to put effort into this shit? I can't fault you. You got a family, you got a steady paycheck. But did you ever notice that you're surrounding yourself with people who agree with you? Hey, whatever, man. I'm a nobody. Nobody cares what I think. I do miss that old Sargon. God, I wanted to see that second Las Vegas shooter video. I really did. I wanted to hear you speculate. I wanted to hear you go a little bit crazy. Because the Las Vegas shootings, right? Nobody remembers that? I wanted to hear what your theories were. Because there's a lot of weird shit that's happened. You know what? Weird shit don't have simple explanations. So, I want to speculate. I think the official story is bullshit. And I'd like to hear some alternatives. I mean, you think the government has never lied about anything? Conspiracy theory chasing. Fuck that. Because that's an easy one to fall down. You also got to remember that by and large, for the most part, if you want to even ascribe malice to something, you have to establish some possible motive. But more than that, you have to disprove the null hypothesis. And the null hypothesis is that everything is perfectly normal and you're insane. And I think in this case, I definitely did fall a little bit on the side of that, which is fine. That is how my brain works now. I had schizophrenia. I have schizophrenia, and that is exactly how my brain works. It goes all over the place. And my job is just to make sure that if I'm going too far in a very strange direction, I apply the brakes and wait 24 hours. And if things are still real in 24 hours, then I start to panic. And I say that because I've had a lot of very strange experiences in my life. I believe something about being schizophrenic has made me open to a wider range of experiences, and it's a little bit terrifying. I don't know if you believe in psychic shit. I believe in psychic shit. I figure it's true. I think it occupies an odd space in reality where it can be defeated by skepticism. It's, how do I put this? Well, it's the observer effect, right? You can't observe the phenomenon without becoming part of it. And if you become part of it, you're imposing your worldviews on it. And if your worldviews are that it's one way, that's going to collapse a synchronicity wave. The quantum waveform. You're going to collapse a quantum waveform. And in some cases, you can have partial collapses of quantum waveforms, areas that are unsubstantiated. You know, they're Schrodinger's cat, right? Like they're both alive and dead because nobody is currently observing that particular section of the world, and or it is being observed only by animals. But the lower concentration of attention being paid to that area creates a space that has odd qualities. I will say that. Yeah, because I've gone looking for those places. Like in cities, you can find them sometimes. They're places that nobody gives a shit about, and you can go there and you can hang out, and it's actually very relaxing. You're just kind of, you're nobody and you're nowhere. It's nice to hang out there. If you can find a place that'll sell you a burger, you're in business. You know. It's harder and harder to get to those places. The cold has been coming on. The snow is here. I believe that we are experiencing something that could be described as a telepathic virus, in the sense of it is a mental illness that is spread through social contact. I believe, if you wanted to, it's some goddamn academic was insane enough to attempt this, that you could model the spread of social justice with epidemiological models, and you would have a perfect fucking match. I'm scared. It was difficult to get that word out, and it scares me. I believe that I am going to stop for tonight because I am shaking in my boots.